because I never left the band. I've been there 40 years every day, and I wasn't going to roll the dice on behalf of an organization that I think is a sham, and two guys who honestly don't deserve to wear those outfits anymore. We couldn't have accomplished what we've accomplished without them in the beginning, but they don't belong in it now, and I wasn't going to relive the past when I'm jeopardizing the present.
Did you talk to them that night?
Absolutely.
What was it like?
I spoke to them weeks before. I spoke to Peter again about a week before and said, look, we have differences, and we're always going to have differences. We're never going to agree on most things anymore, but let's enjoy this moment. Let's enjoy what we created together and forget about everything else. So, it was a moment to see them, and it was interesting, but
and hopefully they had not read the book before they saw you.
I'm not sure each one of them can read a book. I know them, you don't. It's always, I understand, but it's always interesting when I hear people having these opinions, pro or con, and I have to go, hey, you weren't there. You don't know what it was like.
We still love all of you.
I'm sorry?
We still love all of you.
Were you worried about hurting anyone's feelings with the things you wrote in the book? Were you thinking about other people at
I
the
didn't
time?
write anything to be vindictive.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't write anything to be mean-spirited, but I wrote the truth. And did it hurt my dad? Absolutely. But what's the point in writing something unless you're truthful? I was truthful about myself. How could I not be truthful about everybody else? One of the reasons the book is doing so well is because the truth sounds like the truth because it's the truth. When you read something and it sounds like the truth, chances are it's true. So look, if nobody got thrown under the bus. A couple of people walked under the bus, but I didn't throw them.
I'm curious about your relationship with Gene after 40 years. I guess when you introduce him, you describe him as a character, like a character from Hee Haw. He's like in overalls and I think he had a beard. But anyway, so 40 years later, again, he's written about prominently in this book, and you guys live down the street from each other. What is that? People are curious what that relationship is like because it seems like it hasn't always been so smooth.
He's like a cuddly porcupine. Look, Gene is a really unique person, and he's my brother, and I've been furious at him at times and not spoken to him for long periods of time. But it's 44 years we've been together, and we've always had a strong work ethic, and I think most of the time his heart's been in the right place. So, look, he enjoys rubbing people the wrong way. You didn't notice. Gene loves to say things that are sound bites that are either abrasive or annoying. That's, I don't deal with that. We don't have that kind of relationship. And who you see and who he is when he's in front of a crowd like this is not really the Gene who I know. We go back, to a time we lived with our parents. So we know each other very well. And he certainly doesn't do what I call the Gene show for me. You know.
So are you saying you would never go on a reality show? Is that not you?
Well, there's two things everybody should know. You can either have reality or you can have television, but there's no such thing as reality television. You know? If somebody brought a camera into your house and documented every day, most of those shows would be really boring. So, you know, there's not a lot of, not necessarily a realistic picture of reality when you're doing television. And I would never do it because I want to live a real life. If you're busy in front of a camera, at least to my way of thinking, you're not really living a real life. You're not living, you're pretending. Life's too short, you know, for that for me.
Yeah. Well, it's great to see that you guys, despite all your differences and the times you made each other angry, it's great to see that you can still go back on tour together and kind of tolerate each other, at least for that 90 minutes on stage.
Yeah. I have to say, truthfully, we've never gotten along better. If you realize that we started out, let's see, I was 17 and he was 41, I think. If you realize that we started out, you know, I think I was 17 and he was 19 or 20, but we've made possible with our fans and the people who've stuck by us, we've made a life for each other. Clearly very, very different lives. He would slit his wrists if he lived my life. And if I lived his, I'd slit his and mine. But we have something very special. We have something very special.
That's great.
It's turning into the comedy store.
I told you it would get better. What was your favorite time to be a member of KISS? Was there a certain era that you look back fondly on that everything really came together? This
can sound really corny. There's never been a better time than now.
Right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because KISS shouldn't be my life. KISS should only be part of my life, and that's what I have now. You know, from here, I'll fly back home this evening, you know, so I can get up with my kids, and you know, in the morning. So, you know, sooner or later, if we're lucky, we realize that life is really about family, your children, your family, and your friends. Without that, the rest is hollow. You can build something really great if that's at the center.
Love you, Paul.
Thank you.
So, when we ask you, how many times did you legitimately think KISS was over and done, and that when you walked off that tour bus, that was the last time you were doing it?
Never, because
even after the farewell tour,
you know. Well, you know, the interesting thing about the farewell tour, and hand to God, I really thought that it was over. But the farewell tour was because Ace and Peter were so friggin' unbearable that we just decided we had to end the band. And then later on, I was at a car wash and I accepted that the band was over. And a guy at this car wash said to me, I saw the farewell tour and it was so great. When's the 35th anniversary tour? And I went, it was like, you don't want us gone? And suddenly it dawned on me that the farewell tour maybe was just farewell to two of the guys. We've never subscribed to the idea that we follow what we do based upon one or two guys. If you want to take your guitar or your drums and go home, that's okay. But I love what I do. And as far as I'm concerned, KISS is my band. And I'd like everybody in the band to feel that it's their band. But I know in my heart that if things go south and people aren't holding up their end, I'll hold up their end for them because I love the band. I feel like, you ever see that show Inside the Actor's Studio? Yes, and then my third film.
in your third film.
Yes.
Let me ask you about films.
Laurence Olivier once said that. No,
Kiss was such a visual band.
Yes.
Why did you leave things with Kiss meets Phantom of the? That was
you know, when you do something of that caliber, where can you go? After that, what's left to do? I still don't understand the end of that movie.
I don't understand how you made your voice do that in that movie.
It's you know, that film was.
You couldn't follow it up, even if you tried.
No,
There's no way.
That's as good as it gets.
Yes. I'm gonna watch it tonight after this. In your mind, how did Kiss change the music industry? What was the band's greatest contribution?
I think we have been a wake-up call to audiences that they don't have to accept apathy or disrespect from the people on stage. That the people on stage owe you everything, and they're not doing you a favor by being on stage. You're doing them a favor by showing up. And when you come to a concert, you deserve to see something great. And it just, you know, the proof is that everybody from country acts to rap acts have Kiss DNA in their shows now, because people don't accept less at this point. So I think that's a great thing, is that when young people go and see Kiss as their first band, the next band they go to see, they go, where's the fire? When's that guy going to fly through the air? You know, how come they're not wearing tights and 8-inch heels? You know?
That's a thing. I remember I was quite terrified of Kiss when I was a kid, because you guys, I thought you were evil. I mean, but the funny thing is that thought never crossed your mind that people might think of you as a.
I always saw us as very high energy, you know, really like adrenaline, just like a band self-possessed. And I think for people who were sitting at home and perhaps had very sedentary, stationary lives, to see somebody up there jumping around like that, you might go, that's got to be the devil's work, you know. But you know, I was always astounded when people would say, well, it stands for Knights in Satan's Service, or, you know, which part of the show do you step on the chickens, you know. You know, I always say, you know, the person pointing the finger at you is the one who you have to watch. You know, that's the person who you should be most suspect of, the one who accuses everybody else. You know, it's always interesting that whenever an evangelical preacher is tempted by the devil or tested, it's in a cheap motel with a hooker. You know, so. But those are the people who are pointing the fingers at us. So.
And that's the remarkable thing, is you guys stayed clean throughout it all. Like, even though you were on Casablanca Records, you were going to Studio 54, but you were actually going to dance. You were one of the few people who was there to dance.
And even when there were, I mean, the amount of drugs that were around the band at the early part was just crazy. I mean, everybody was just giving us stuff all the time, and the idea was sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I said, you keep the drugs, I just want the rest, you know. So, and look, I mean, the fact is that I'm here today, and you're not here interviewing Jimi Hendrix or Jim Morrison or Janis Joplin or Philip Seymour Hoffman or Belushi. You know, drugs kill. Whether they either kill your spirit or they kill your soul. So I've never understood the attraction to drugs, and if some people are addictive personalities and people who have are predisposed to that, before you start, go get help. You know, it's a terrible thing to start and then try to stop. Much better when we look at ourselves and go, I've got some issues, and take care of them before they take care of you. I feel so grown up.
Tell me, what's your favorite Kiss album? Which one would you put on if you... Think of a better one.
Think of a better one.
Yes.
I think that the album that really captures what this band has always been about... Is your name Paul Stanley? He's talking to me. I think Kiss Alive. I think we've always been a live band. We've always been a band that brings it. So Destroyer's a great album, and the rest is a matter of taste. But I think Alive really captured the essence of what the band is. It's a live, breathing animal. It's a juggernaut. It's like being at the end of the world. It's like rock and roll Armageddon.
Do you feel bad that it's so expensive to be a Kiss fan? Because you can't just go buy the record. You have to buy the belt buckle. You have to buy the Hello Kitty mints. You have to buy the...
I know you might know this, but nobody comes to your house with a gun and says you have to buy anything. Truth be told, the reason those things are all successful is because people tell us that they want them. There's no genius. There's no genius who's coming up with these great ideas. The fans tell us what they want, and then it's still up to them whether or not they want it. Look, there's people who love the band for what the band is, and there's other people who want some of the paraphernalia. And I'm glad and proud that we're a band that has that broad a scope, that we appeal on so many different levels. There's a reason that nobody has a Fleetwood Mac doll, but and I love Fleetwood Mac, and I love Stevie, and I love all of them. But that was just an example off the top of my head. But
I would take a Stevie Nicks doll, by the way.
And preferably one that blows up.
That works. Yeah.
But I think my point is really that we're not defined, and we don't want what rock and roll is defined by other bands. We define what we are, and we live by it. I'm not ashamed of any aspect of what we've done, because at the end of the day, when I go on stage, I go, this band kills. And I've had people who I respect immensely, and people who inspired me, come to shows and go, this is a great band. And so it's never been about sizzle without a steak. We couldn't be doing this 40 years as successful as we've been unless there was something far beyond the makeup. If it was just a matter of, a bunch of guys wearing makeup, then we'd be some other band. I already put my foot in my mouth with Fleetwood Mac, so
That's a great idea, though. You should make those. Is there
He wants the Stevie Nicks blow-up doll.
And maybe the Mick Fleetwood one. He's kind of cool.
Who am I to judge?
What song will you never
This
get?
is the city of brotherly love.
There you go, yeah.
So your brother's Mick Fleetwood. Yeah.
What song will you never get tired of playing?
I'm sorry.
What song will you never get tired of playing?
Detroit Rock City, Love Gun. Rock and Roll All Night, Shout It Out Loud, God of Thunder, Firehouse, Got to Choose. Strutter, Love, you know. Heaven's on Fire. Black Diamond.
I asked him what song he'll never get tired of playing. So quite a few, yeah.
I'm proud of all the songs. I'm certainly proud of all the songs I've written.
How did things change for you once you took the makeup off? Because you went, you had this mask on for all those years where it helped you become this confident person who could go on stage and do all these things. And then the 80s come around and you guys take the masks off, you have new players in the band. What?
It didn't change anything for me because what I've always done is me, and it comes from inside me. Thank you. So when the makeup came off, I was still out there doing what I do. So it didn't change anything. I just thought it was imperative that we take the makeup off because I think we made some mistakes along the way, and of course everybody's entitled to their own opinions, but I think once we started bringing in new members and new characters, it lost a certain, I don't know whether I could say it was disingenuous. It reached a point where, we had the fox, we had the Egyptian warrior, we could have had Turtle Man. It was just, it lost something. And I think that we kind of polluted the water. And at that point, I think that people were tired of what the band looked like. They were listening with their eyes. And when an album like Creatures of the Night came out, which was a really good album, and was met with pretty much apathy, I thought, well, I wanted to take it off for that one, but I went, we really need to do this. And of course, we took it off, and Lick It Up sold 5 times what Creatures sold. So if we couldn't be a great band without the makeup, then we didn't deserve to be a band at all. So it was really trial by fire as far as I was concerned. And there's no way to compete with the Kiss imagery and what those 4 iconic figures are. So to take the makeup off, sure, makes us much more generic and very much like a lot of other bands who were around at that time. But it was necessary. It was something we had to do. We had to give something up in order to continue.
And then what made you decide to put it back on when you, in the 90s?
I suddenly started thinking about the mortality of the people in the band and started to think, I didn't know, quite honestly, how long some of the guys in the band might last. And I hate the word closure because that got so overused, but I just began thinking, what if? Maybe we, and I had sworn I would never do it. Maybe we can regroup. Maybe everybody can learn from the past. Maybe, people can see the gift that this band is, and we can move forward. So we did the Unplugged, which was MTV Unplugged was really an outgrowth of us doing a Kiss convention tour where we played acoustically. So for the Unplugged, what had happened just prior to that is we were doing a convention in LA, and Eric said, why don't we invite Peter down? So Peter came down, and it was fun. I hadn't seen him in, I don't even know how long. It was probably 16 years or something like that. And we thought maybe we can do this, and it was not an easy time to get Ace and Peter in agreement, to do this. And once they agreed, there was a lot of wrestling and trying to get everybody in shape. Because the last thing we wanted to do, at least the last thing I wanted to do, was shatter somebody's memory by going out there, a bunch of fat guys in leotards, So, we hired trainers and had very strict contracts to make sure that people would not abuse themselves or abuse the fans by substances being put in their body. It's futile. You can't really get anybody to stop anything. But so it just seemed like maybe we can get back together, wiser, older, and move forward. I thought maybe we can do this to the end. Maybe we can get back together and see this through the end and pick up where we left off. That was not the case. It very quickly disintegrated. And instead of, in Peter's case, Peter said, I am so lucky to be back. These two guys were broke at that point, which is something to put in Ripley's Believe It or Not, because how you can be broke after you were in KISS is hard to believe. But they came back, and Peter said, I'll never do that again. I'm so thankful to be back. And it wasn't too long after that the same stuff started happening. And instead of being thankful for what they had, they were more envious of what I had. And that's unfortunate. There's people with more than me. I'm happy with what I have. And you have to remember, too, once again, I never left the band. So are you going to come back and be an equal? Absolutely not. But be thankful that you're back at all. Yeah. And I hoped that we would be able to really create something, and it just wasn't to be. And that, my friends, is life.
We're going to take questions from them in a minute, but I wanted to ask you one more thing. You end the book by kind of insinuating that KISS can continue without you. Do you actually see that happening?
Sure. If you go to trust me. I think I'm really, really good at what I do, but I'm not crazy enough to think that I'm the only person who can do this. Doesn't mean you have to copy me any more than I copied the people who inspired me. There's people out there who have incredible talent. Does anybody, we're not a rock band like other rock bands. We're a way of life. We're a way of dealing with a stage. We're a lifestyle. We're about preaching self-empowerment, celebrating life, putting on a great rock show. Does anybody go to the Yankee games and hold up signs, "Where's Babe Ruth"? It's just, So I liken us much more, in the best ways, to a team or an army. But we're still, make no mistakes, we're a rock band. But the people who thought that it could only be the original members, and I was one of those people, well, those people are 50% wrong now. On the last tour, we showed every night from the shows on KISS Online, 10,000 up to 110,000 people coming to the shows. So I would like to see this go on after I can't go on anymore, because people deserve it, whether I'm there or not.
Great. Okay, so now we're going to take some questions from the audience.
Just put your hand up and Andy and I will get you. Hold on. Wait for the mic to get to you, please.
Hi, Paul. Welcome to the JCC. You and the band have been big advocates for giving back to the community, from the walk and rock you did in Sacramento to the Wounded Warriors support. Does it have a part of a special meaning to you to give back to the community?
You know, sometimes things can sound so cliche, but the truth is, the more you give, the more you get. You feel better about yourself when you help other people. Giving really is its own reward. And in the case of soldiers and Wounded Warrior Care Project, on this tour too, we'll be giving $1 from every ticket. You've got people who volunteer to risk their lives, risk their limbs, to give us the security and to give us the liberty and freedom that we enjoy. So when those people come back, we owe them everything. So if there's some way that we can focus a spotlight on them, honest to God, it makes me feel good. You make the world better by helping other people.
Our next question over here on your guys' right.
Thank you. My question is in regards to live music. Are there artists that you're seeing coming up today that bring a production value that you think is inspiring for the new generation?
I think live concerts have reached a point where the state of the art is terrific. What's missing is music. It's unfortunate that because somebody has a hit album that they did in their living room and is never played for people, that those people have to go out and try to entertain. The reason a band like us still thrives is because we've learned our craft. And when you've got machine-made music with vocalists that are auto-tuned, it's just, I think people miss out on the incredible power that music can have when it's made by human beings.
The next question's right here in the front.
Hi, Paul.
Hi.
You're an amazing songwriter, and from a songwriting standpoint, I was always curious to know: do many of the songs that you've written come to you in just a complete, or are they ones that you really have to, you get a riff and really have to work to get them to the end, or are they this comprehensive? The song just comes to you.
The only song that ever came to me almost in total was Love Gun, and that I pretty much wrote on an airplane without a guitar. I just knew the whole song, but most of the time it starts with a guitar figure. I'll just sit and play until something interesting comes out, and then build on that, and then start singing, and the singing will become the framework, and I'll sing a few words here and there, and then it becomes kind of like filling in the blanks. Some of it comes organically, so it's almost like stream of consciousness, and start singing, and then grab bits and pieces of that and fill in the blanks.
Our next question over here on your guys' right.
Hey, Paul, thank you for everything that you've done. My question is, the book that came out, Nothing to Lose, are you going to be coming out with any other books such as that with the different time errors?
Sure, it's a great idea. I thought that the great thing about Nothing to Lose was it was the recollections of the people around us. And so it's pretty accurate. I found it fascinating when I read the book because maybe I was sheltered from a lot of what was going on. It was interesting back then because Bill Aucoin, who was as important to the band as anybody in the band, really sheltered us in a way. Anybody who worked for us was told what they could tell us, what they couldn't tell us, what we liked to hear, we were really pampered in a way that we were insulated from the world. So interesting to read that book and hear people's memories, some that were all new to me.
The next question's right here in the front.
Hi, Paul. You'd mentioned about keeping the band going, future generations. So, do you look at like Evan and like Nick Simmons continuing on, or do you do a franchise, official Kiss franchises, or?
Well, this isn't McDonald's, I would never wish for anybody's child to take their place. The worst thing in the world would be to have to be Frank Sinatra Jr. to walk in your parents' shadow. I don't want that for Evan. I want Evan to find his passion, which I think he has, and to follow that. But to try to be Dad Junior, it doesn't appeal to me, and I wouldn't want that for him. So, but I do believe that there's great talent out there that could blow you away and blow me away. You know, there are people out there who deserve to be heard.
And our next question back over here on the right.
Hey, Paul, how you doing? Good to have you here tonight.
Good to be had.
Hey, Eddie Trunk, who's the host of That Metal Show, been a big fan of. Will you ever show up on the show? Will you ever go there? Come on.
What's going on, Paul?
Honestly, that's I guess an acquired taste for some, and to me, it's Wayne's World. The only thing missing from the bits I saw years ago was Party on Wayne or Party on Gar. I really, I don't think. No, the less said, the better. But no, I can't. I can't imagine being a part of that.
The next question's right here in the middle.
Hi, Paul. Thanks for coming to San Francisco and hanging out with us.
Thank you.
Paul, is it true that you didn't invite Gene to your first wedding?
He was at my first wedding. Maybe that's what was wrong, because he wasn't at my second. I think that everybody's entitled to their opinions, and we should respect each other's opinions. What becomes the problem is when somebody insults you for your opinion. Gene was very vocal and very derogatory in his words about marriage and about the people who got married. And honestly, I'm close enough to him that I said, "You don't belong at my wedding." I happen to value the idea of marriage and the sanctity of it, and to have somebody there who berates not only the institution of marriage but the people who get married, I would have been false to myself, and that's the worst thing we can do. The best thing we can do in our lives is be honest with people and not do favors that impact badly on us.
Our next question over here.
Hi, Mr. Stanley. Are you gonna ever
Did you call
make...
me Mr. Stanley?
Yes.
Am I your teacher?
Yeah.
Call me Paul. Call me
Are
Paul.
you gonna ever make any solos? Like any other solo albums?
I'd like to. If I did another solo album, it would be much more like my first one. My second solo album was really kind of like a project for me to get away from doing what I do in Kiss, because some of the Kiss albums have basically been almost solo albums. So Live to Win was really me trying to push the boundaries, but if I was to do another one, and I certainly plan on it, it will be a guitar through a Marshall amplifier.
Our next question here in the center.
Hi, Mr. Stanley.
Oh, please.
You educated me a little bit. I had a question about, before the makeup came off, did you have any funny stories about people recognizing you or not recognizing you?
Before the makeup came off?
Yeah, like you're out and about and someone knows who you are.
No, I don't remember that, but I remember one. Let me think how this happened. Some guy came over to me in the 70s and said that his girlfriend wound up going to bed with some guy who said he was me. And I said, I hope he was good.
Next question, also here in the center.
Hi, Paul. I'm Jonathan.
Hi.
Technical question about your guitar. The brown Firebird that you used, that you had painted black by your father, you touched on a little bit in the book. But the cover of Alive was shot at Michigan Palace.
Yes.
And you used it, but your main guitar during that time was the V. So I just wondered how it came about. You used the Firebird on the photo and not the V, since it was your normal guitar you were playing on that tour.
I don't know. You've been waiting all night, and look at the answer you get.
All right.
I don't know.
And our next question right here in the center.
Hi, my name is Tammy.
Hi.
I'd like to say thank you, because when my family was homeless and my children were younger, they didn't have friends, but they had KISS.
Oh.
And my son is looked at differently because he doesn't dress like what society thinks a straight boy should look like. Stand up. I told him it looks like your closet. May he say something to you?
Hi, I'm Brandon. I just want to say that I love you very much. You've been a really big inspiration in my life.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me just say, to Brandon and other people too, being different is a great thing, but don't do something that makes life too difficult for yourself. We only get one trip here, so be good to yourself, and don't put yourself in a position where other people can be mean or bad to you. You have a choice to make it a little easier for yourself, and I don't want to see you in pain.
Thank you all for coming tonight. Thank you, Paul Stanley.